On Christmas Day. While families across America were unwrapping gifts. While homes were filled with laughter and light. A teenage girl vanished. No ransom call. No warning. No goodbye. Just a dog walking route that suddenly went silent. And a phone signal that refused to disappear. What happened next would blur the line between technology and instinct. Between waiting for help and becoming the help. And it raises a chilling question. If one father hadn't acted when he did, would anyone be telling this story at all? Christmas Day in Porter, Texas, began like countless others. A quiet suburban town north of Houston. Tree-lined streets. Familiar routines. For a 15-year-old girl, that routine included walking her dog, something she'd done many times before, something that had never felt dangerous. But that afternoon, she didn't come back. At first, it didn't feel like panic. Teenagers lose track of time. Dogs wander. Minutes pass. Then more minutes passed. And then something felt wrong. Her parents noticed the silence. The absence. The stillness where movement should have been. Calls went unanswered. Messages unread. This wasn't normal. And in cases like this, time is never neutral. Every second either brings you closer. Or takes you farther away. And this was the moment where two paths existed, wait, or act. Most parents set parental controls for screen time. Bedtime limits. Blocked apps. This father had done the same. But on that day, one quiet feature, rarely thought about, became something else entirely. Location tracking. As concern hardened into fear, he opened his phone. Not knowing what he would see. Only knowing he had to look. A signal appeared. Active. Moving. Not far, but not right. The phone was no longer following the usual route. It wasn't looping back home. It wasn't stationary at a friend's house. It was drifting toward a secluded area. That was the moment uncertainty collapsed into reality. Because phones don't wander by themselves. And teenagers don't vanish on Christmas Day without a reason. But what he didn't know yet, was how close she actually was, and how little time he had. Calling the police was the right thing to do. But waiting for them, standing still while a signal moved, felt impossible. So he did something most parents would never imagine doing. He followed the phone. Driving through familiar streets that suddenly felt hostile. Watching the location update in real time. Each refresh tightening the knot in his chest. The signal stopped. 2 miles from home. A partially wooded, secluded area. The kind of place people don't casually end up. The kind of place chosen, not stumbled upon. And now, the worst fear crystallized. Someone had taken her there on purpose. Asterisk, this was no longer about being late. This was about survival, asterisk. When he arrived, nothing looked like a crime scene. No screams. No struggle. No obvious chaos. Just a parked maroon pickup truck. Idle. Out of place. And then, confirmation. The phone signal was coming from inside that vehicle. He approached, not knowing what he'd face. Not knowing if he was walking toward answers, or danger. Inside the truck sat his daughter. And the dog. And a man. A man partially unclothed. A moment frozen in disbelief. A moment where instinct overrides fear. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not coincidence. This was the nightmare every parent fears but never expects to confront face to face. And now, there was no room for hesitation. Details matter here, because this wasn't a cinematic chase. There were no weapons drawn. No dramatic standoff. Just a father acting fast enough to change the ending. He got his daughter out of the truck. Away from the man. Away from the threat. And then, only then, he contacted authorities. Because the danger had shifted. The priority was no longer searching. It was securing. And when law enforcement arrived, they did not find confusion. They found evidence. They found a suspect. And they found a case that could have ended very differently. But the most unsettling part was still to come. Authorities identified the suspect as 23-year-old Giovanni Rosales Espinoza. Not a stranger passing through town. Not a misunderstanding. A man now facing some of the most serious charges in the criminal justice system. Aggravated kidnapping. Indecency with a child. Charges that exist because of the harm they represent, not just in action, but in intent. He was taken into custody without incident. No resistance. No denial loud enough to erase the facts. And for investigators, the picture was clear. This was not random wandering. This was deliberate. Which raises a darker question: how often does technology fail before someone acts? The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office made something clear in their statements. This father's actions mattered. Not symbolically. Not emotionally. Practically. They praised the speed. The decisiveness. The use of available tools. Because in missing child cases, time isn't measured in hours. It's measured in irreversible outcomes. And this case highlighted something uncomfortable. Sometimes, the first responder isn't wearing a badge. Sometimes, it's a parent staring at a phone screen, realizing that waiting could cost everything. Asterisk, but the story doesn't end with an arrest. It ends with a warning, asterisk. This story spread fast. Not because of the crime, tragically, crimes like this happen. But because of how it was stopped. Parental controls. Location tracking. A feature most people forget exists. Online discussions exploded. Was this luck? Was this preparation? Or was this a rare alignment of timing, courage, and access? Experts point out a hard truth. Technology does not replace awareness. It amplifies it.